Hey, welcome to the damn podcast. I'm David MD. This week on the podcast, Camilla Harris's sleeping around finally pays off. Joe Rogan's offered $100 million by Rumble. Kanye and Kim's kid gets on social media, and there's a bit of a fucking problem. Beatles NFT memorabilia. This one is going to be a fucking rager on my part. And then, unfortunately, Frontier and Spirit are merging coming up soon here. With me this week, the 5-time returning champion, Leslie Fox. How's it going, Leslie?
Thank you. Calm down, everybody.
Before we get started, just want to see where you're going to be here in the near future, get your dates out there, and let my followers know what's up.
Yeah, so on February 11th, I'm going to be at Blush and Blue doing the Soul Queens of Denver. And then on February 18th, we're going to be at Colorado Springs at Vultures, and it's Ladies Comedy Night. I got all lady lineup, and I got 2 male hosts wrapping it up. And then on February 25th, I am going to be a drag king. I'm going to be the Drag Kings.
Hell yeah.
At Blush and Blue. And then on March 5th, I'm at Fritzy's. That one doesn't have a name yet, but I'll be there, so you should come.
Hell
Not
yeah.
like that, but like that too, but not like that, you know.
We're all pro come here. I don't know.
Yes.
Start dirty on the podcast.
Come positive. I love it.
Oh my God! Speaking of coming, so this week I usually hit up the guests the Tuesday before and like, hey, what do you want to talk about? And the very first thing you brought up was Camilla.
Don't pronounce her name right. She doesn't deserve that.
Yeah, fuck that chick. Huh?
Yeah.
You wanted to talk about that. You seem rather fucking heated. What's up?
Well, I just don't understand how side host can become queen. I'm very bothered by this. But I was also like Team Diana, you know. Rest in Paradise Princess Diana. Okay. So I'll take a second. Okay, but I feel like I don't know what Charles is doing, but he makes his mom change the rules all of the time for this woman, and I don't understand
so I was thinking
why.
you have to have royal lineage to take that mantle.
Yeah, and you also were like, it was like frowned upon to get divorced, but his auntie got divorced, right? She was the mom.
Did they have a big fucking wedding?
No, and she didn't even look cute during her wedding. She wore like the pantsuit thing, like with the dress and stuff, and her shoes were ugly, and then she had this little feather hat on, you know, the British where they wear the little tea hat, whatever.
Yeah.
And she looked awful. I was like, can you get your stuff together for your own wedding, please?
Joe Bear, can you bring that up? By the way, new producer on the fucking the ones and twos, I guess. Jonathan Joe Bear, everybody. You know him from the local scene. You got him Googling now. Kamala Harris's wedding with what the fuck?
Prince Charles.
Prince Charles.
Kamala Harris. That's
Yeah,
not
I'm-
even right.
No.
Yeah,
but
see, I'm so out of tune.
Camilla, whatever her name is, I don't know her last name. She doesn't deserve it.
The royal whore.
That's how I feel. Oh my gosh.
All right, so-
God damn.
Did you know?
Wait.
Okay, did you know? Okay, one time, okay, they were all like at a party. This is when Charles was married to Diana.
Okay.
Right? And they went like downstairs, and it was like, where's Charles? Where's Charles? So Diana had to go downstairs and look at her husband in the face and be like, will you at least not address your hoe when I'm in the house?
Dang.
She didn't say that because she was classy. You know what I mean?
I don't see Diana calling herself.
No, but she kept herself cool, calm, and collected, and she didn't punch her because assault is real.
Turn the was it Buckingham Palace into the fucking Jersey Shore?
Yes.
Is this their
I'm
wedding here?
so upset.
Input 4.
Look at her.
And then picture in picture if you can. That looks terrible. Looks
You
like they're
could-
going to the race in Kentucky or whatever the fuck, isn't it?
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You couldn't have put something a little nicer on. You had to have your ugly hat on. Like,
That is fucking terrible.
but you know what?
Look at the picture in picture.
She is the embodiment of when a man loves you for who you are. I don't know what he loves about her. I don't know who she is, nor do
English
I care.
love really has to be true love because if you look an English person in the mouth, you really got to fight through some.
If you want somebody's like mouth on your genitals,
That's wood chipper status, isn't it? With the with them people.
that's all I'm saying. Got jagged teeth.
Jesus.
I'm not saying she has jagged teeth. I made that up because I just don't like her. But anyway, that's not the point. I just think it is mind blowing that just like with everything that happened, I feel like there would have. I thought that there would be more uproar about it. You know what I mean? Because like Diana was the people's princess. Everybody loved her.
That's what I was thinking too. Is like when I heard the initial news, I was like, she's the second wife, and like I looked at her record. That's actually her second husband too.
Yeah,
like,
and it was supposed to be okay. At least when I was a teenager, way back in the early 2000s, the queen was like, "Oh, by the way, you will never be queen." Right? She was like, "Never, ever. Like,
COVID
you might
has made
marry
us
my son."
reconsider
Because
our
their whole
emotions.
marriage was like a huge scandal because they weren't even supposed to be married. Like, Queen Elizabeth was like, "And what?" And then as she got older, she did what grandmas do. And she was like, "But I love my children, so I'll do what you ask." But I'm like,
Well, so my first reaction was that like, oh, divorced, all this stuff, and I was like, wait a second. Didn't way back in the 14 or 1500s, one of those motherfuckers runs for like 15 wives?
yes, we had a problem about putting the flag down for Diana, and now all of a sudden we're letting hoes be queen consort. I have issues with this. And then they wonder why America's all messed up. You know what I mean? I feel like the world was a better place when all of us hated her. When we were all like, fuck you, go Diana, everything's good. And then as soon as we were like, yeah, this is fine, everything went to shit.
I love how spun around the axle you are. Just twisting around.
I'm so upset right now. I will
I
lose
couldn't
sleep.
even tell you 3 people's names out of the royal family.
I can't tell you all of them, but what I can tell you is Camilla and Meghan Markle are up to something. They be doing stuff to those men.
That is her name, right? Markle.
Meghan Markle,
Okay.
the one from Suits. I don't know. She did. I don't know.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm like putting together names and bastardizing.
Yeah,
everything.
she caught Harry before he got his bald spot. She was like,
Yo, that hairline's been fucking hurting lately.
Yeah,
Jesus
because
Christ.
William was like the hottie, right? He was like, oh my God. And then he turned 30, and everybody was like, you look a lot like your dad
jeans
now.
came through, yeah. Dad's jeans came ripping through that
Oh my
one.
goodness. But I also kind of feel like I'm not in charge of the monarchy at all, obviously. I just work here. But I don't even think that Charles should be king. He is so old and out of touch of what's going on. I just feel like William is a better fit for
Well,
to
they really
understand.
don't have legislative power, though.
No, they're
we're
not.
gonna
They're
attack
not
the
even
old
allowed to
people.
have political verbiage or any. They have to be neutral and but nobody wants to see Charles doing anything else. Nobody wants to see him anymore.
I don't know. I want to see him cooking fries, deep frying stuff.
He will burn them. He has no
DoorDash.
life skills.
I want to see him do DoorDash in the fucking carriage.
You're gonna be like, Leslie, why do you hate the royal family so much? You'll be like, I don't hate them. I just am very judgmental. Okay. My opinion matters because all opinions
If we're gonna
matter.
chase old people out of government-paid housing, why don't we do like Congress first? American Congress, American.
Because it was their fault. They created all of this.
What I love is there's a meme out there right now. It's like you gotta love how this life is set up because the royal family's ancestors convinced a whole bunch of people that they're like descended from God, and now we're still dealing with the fucking royal family in 2022.
Yes. They just kiss babies and open hospitals now.
Speaking of royalty, though, Mr. Joe Rogan was in the news for several reasons, but what I am going to focus on is, I guess, the 2 things that he's been controversial about is what bring up the third part is that Rogan has been offered by Rumble, YouTube's I guess direct competitor or wannabe competitor, $100 million to fucking jump off Spotify and jump on Rumble. My question to you, because I feel Rumble is known publicly as
For using the N-word? I'm just kidding.
just savage uses of the N-word. No, just highlight reels of the N-word. Being right of center and just continually right of center. And for them to offer Joe Rogan, somebody has considered himself liberal on some shade for his entire life. My question to you is, as a comedian, if you get to a certain height, how much money would it take for you to compromise your morals and jump over to the other political association?
Well, I can say the N-word.
First of all, I think we need to address the fact that you said height, and that was a direct attack at Joe Rogan. And I think
he's a short little man. He's like 5'4", 5'5".
5 boring. I don't know.
Old Joe Bear shooting rounds over there.
I love my Rogan, bro, but
I think he's gotten to a point where I think he's going to collapse under his own weight, under his own library. I don't know. It's so hard to fucking...
I feel like, because he's had that for 12 years, right? And 12 years ago, I thought a lot of things are true that were not true. Okay.
Like the earth was round?
Yeah, like it has a lip because it's flat. That explains global warming. That's what I thought. I'm just kidding. I'm not that stupid. But
once I get above comedians, I do want to get an astronaut in here to fucking talk about that.
That would be fantastic.
That'd be badass.
That would be awesome.
I identify as an astronaut.
I identify
I'm pretty sure
as
I
Joe
get over
Rogan,
100
so.
subscribers before I get astronauts in here. How many followers? 81? No. I'll pass.
But I think honestly, like, it would depend on what right they were violating for me.
Okay.
I do understand that I have freedom of speech, but I don't have freedom of consequences of what comes out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I understand how private companies work. So if I am contracted underneath a private company and they don't like what I say, they're allowed to do that. I don't have to like it, but they're allowed to do that. So that would be something that I would just I would eat,
Yeah.
But he's always had some pretty interesting perspectives on how he thinks and how he feels about the word. What rubbed me the wrong way the most was his Planet of the Apes joke because it was lazy.
Was that
like it was
defending Roseanne?
No, he said that he went to see Planet of the Apes and they got dropped off in an all-black neighborhood. And then he was like, we were in Planet of the Apes. And I was like, okay, first of all, lazy. Okay, but he does acknowledge the fact that it was racist when it happened, right? But that's how he always addresses it is, oh, I know that's wrong, but this is what I meant. So he, right?
Yeah.
He was also young when that happened. Like he was doing Fear Factor then. Like he's allowed to grow up
too. Different culture completely.
Well, I mean, are you surprised that the guy who looks at people eating whale penis has a hot take about something?
Right, or like especially somebody who physically, like his physical prowess, very few people will be able to physically provide him consequences for his actions. Okay. And so I think that we need to give people enough room to grow and to learn.
Yeah.
And so if he chooses to do that, I'm sure that he's a smart man. I'm sure he'll figure out exactly how he wants to present why he moved. If he doesn't want to move, I'm sure that he's going to have his own reasons for it.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's a lot of learning that can come from those things. I don't particularly like that word. I don't think that there is any reason to use it and try to like fruiten it up.
Yeah.
But if you use the word and you get punched in the face, you use the word, you got punched in the face. But it is a very interesting thing because of the platform, it kind of seems like he could be going to the place where like, oh well, they hate all the things and they hate all the views and they can use whatever words they want to. But I don't think it will really matter anyway. Whatever he does, everybody is going to know why he did it, and they're going to know, and they still don't like him because he used that word and whatever. That's
like, I think he could fold completely on this, and they would turn right back around the next week and be like, well, here's the next fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Fuck, I had a whole bunch of thoughts on that. If people aren't tracking, Rogan did have a highlight reel of the N-word use. I don't think we set up that fucking...
No.
But I think when it comes to Rogan, because people are trying to morally equate Rogan with... well, not morally equate, with what Whoopi Goldberg was doing. saying like, "Oh, why didn't Whoopi and Rogan get the same consequences?"
Because
like,
they're two different private companies. They're not
Well, yeah,
the same.
The FCC runs ABC a hell of a lot more strict because they're selling cereal to fucking 2-year-olds at 2:00 in the afternoon.
They're not fucking 2-year-olds, David, MD. Phrasing.
Government. Everybody's correct.
Edit point marked.
Too bad it's live.
Excuse me. Pardon me.
But my thing is, all right, so you have ABC needing to sell cereal in the afternoon. However, when Spotify bought Joe Rogan's library, they knew, like the first 100-some-odd episodes, that dude was sponsored by Fleshlight. Two completely different fucking standards.
One might be more open-minded than the other. That's all I'm saying. Or more self-gratifying. You choose.
Who's a Fleshlight spot do you want to hear first? Rogan's or fucking Whoopi's?
I think Whoopi could go deeper.
Just want to see her fucking with the product. Just like, yeah, it's very exciting.
I feel like she would be like, what is this? And why is this happening?
I don't know. I think old school Whoopi, because she used to run with fucking Robin Williams, who just mile a minute.
Are you saying that he likes fleshlights? I'm just kidding. I'm being annoying.
God bless Robin Williams. No, rest in peace, right? No, I really think Whoopi, if you threw her a flashlight off of ABC, I think anywhere else, I think she'd riff on that pretty hard.
You think so?
Yeah.
Color purple.
She worked with savages, dude. Fucking Robin Williams. Wasn't Bobcat on some of those?
Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal?
I mean,
yeah. I think she'd fucking tear up a flashlight.
Yeah, bro. I think she'd punch it till it made the mayonnaise sound.
Yeah.
The mac and cheese.
Mm.
That's what I need to fucking soundboard for.
Well, make some mac and cheese. So you've got
sexual
a great one.
Now you could be Howard Stern.
That could be. So I'll have an astronaut one week. I'll have a porn star. There's a couple porn stars out of Denver.
I think you do really well if you just had a section of porn stars eating mac and cheese.
There you go. The
That's
food bangers. What are those called?
Food bangers.
Mush bangers. Mush bangers. Does anybody know?
No.
Muck bangers, I think is what it is.
That's what you should call it.
MD bangers.
We're drifting into territory I'm unfamiliar with. I'm sorry.
No, so you know the ASMR.
Yeah, when they eat all the food.
Exactly. There's a porn equivalent to that.
Oh.
It also ties into food fetish. It's porn stars eating into like a highly sensitive microphone.
Yeah, and then they like slurp
I
it
think
on
it's
stuff.
called. Can you Google it? I think it's mukbang. Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually I totally seen that, and I'm like I'm fascinated with how fast they eat because like they just eat so fast. Like they're putting like whole octopus in their mouth.
So the live ones are fucking.
Like, what are
nuts,
you
man.
doing?
That
It's
reminds me, since you've been on, I've actually had a competitive food eater. She's ranked top 20
really?
in the fucking world. Yeah.
Fucking get it.
I think it was top 10 female side and then top
So she must fart a
75
lot.
male or female. I never saw her rip anything.
I bet you, like after that must be a lot of air going down there. So
I didn't really ask those things. I just wanted to see shit because it was during the UFC live event. I wanted to see her shit talking other competitive food people. Be like fucking WrestleMania.
would it be like
Yeah, brother, you can't eat hot dogs.
Like another one.
Is it mukbang?
It is mukbang. In Urban Dictionary, it says mukbang is where a consumer person, which would be weird if it wasn't a person, consumes large amounts of food while interacting with friends, family, and or viewers. I am going to film my mukbang now.
That ties into my bit, though, is literally you could do anything as a woman, and somebody's going to pay top dollar. I just want to watch you eat a fucking tuna sandwich.
Sit on a cake.
Yeah.
That's the face.
That makes me so upset. I'm like,
But you don't have to
No.
compromise your morals. You could literally take a picture of anything, and you are satisfying somebody's fetish.
well, all I'm gonna say is like, there are some women who are smart enough that it doesn't matter what it is, you have to pay for their consent. That's all I'm saying, and I'm gonna leave
That's
it
the
at
entire business structure of OnlyFans.
Mhm.
Oi, oi, oi. This is an odd
Weird
transition from OnlyFans to Kanye and Kim having a kid on social media.
Hey. Okay, so first things first. Okay, the whole divorce thing is very weird. I feel the worst for the kiddos because this is a messy divorce. They're just famous people.
Yeah.
Like, so they can reach more people, more people know them, but that means that more people know their children. And I think that makes me really sad. But
10 million fucking followers for this kid.
And that's Northwest, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because North is the oldest.
Or no, this is the 13-year-old, I think.
North is a 13.
No, the article that I was pulling from.
Oh.
Actually, a TV show that was pulling from. Yeah, it was like 13. Do they have a 13-year-old?
I don't think. I think North is like
Let's
11.
Google
like
some
10
bullshit.
or 11 at most, I think.
Yeah, Kanye wasn't liking that that his daughter is posting on social media. I didn't realize they were married that fucking long.
Yeah, there was. Remember, he proposed to her at this and stadium and stuff, and he had fireworks and.
How many of us called that though? I bet somebody just won the fucking office pool.
They're
Took 10 years to come to fruition.
Get divorced,
dude.
But mental illness is a hard thing. Okay, I have bipolar. So I know sometimes, especially if I'm not getting the treatment that I need, I can be a little irrational. I can be very emotional. I can be very impulsive. So I'm not saying that I understand what he feels like. I just understand when you're not of sound mind, wanting to do things that don't make sense and not having somebody to be like, why don't you put your phone down? Maybe
I want to say that
you
to
don't need
everyone.
that.
Put your fucking phone down.
But not while you're watching this show.
No.
Exactly. Keep holding
it
on to
up.
the fucking phone.
Keep it up. Gosh.
Or no, put down the phone and just keep it listening to it. I need the fucking hours on my YouTube.
Sletting yourself out, MD. But
Like, share, and subscribe.
I think though that as with boundaries, I think social media is fine. But it's not an age thing. It's a maturity thing. So if your child is mature enough to understand that it's not a real place, but it's a dangerous place.
And that was the point somebody made. I was watching. They're saying that Kim was in Paris. This was like the last 5 years, where people were tracking her, figured out when security had like a lapse, and fucking tied her up in her hotel room, stole like $500,000.
And I think she was married to him at the time too, and he wasn't there.
So that's probably where he got spooked originally. It's like, hey, my family can be killed.
Yeah. Well, and I've always thought it was very weird that people would post where they are. Like I had to ask a friend of mine, like whenever we would go, she would post that we were at the same time. And I was like, I am not trying to get kidnapped. Okay, I am portable. I am tiny. I can fit in most trunks. You need to stop telling people where I am, okay?
I was talking to a comic that did the USO tours. They're allowed to take all of the social media stuff that they want to on unsecured parts of their bases. However, they have to be off the installation and basically flying to the next before they post that they're there.
Yeah.
Just because USO, I believe, up to 2022 has not lost a single entertainer in combat. It's because they're doing secure shit like that. So
it's just so dangerous, and kids are so impressionable, so they don't really know that the admiration isn't actually admiration.
Yeah.
And so I think that's dangerous, but the main thing is parents need to communicate with each other. It doesn't matter whether or not you're together. It doesn't matter whether or not you like each other or not. When you are co-parenting, that's a decision that I think that should happen.
And that's the weird thing with their relationship is they're using the public eye to have those conversations and leverage. Because basically Kanye was talking about this in the public eye to start twisting Kim's arm.
Right.
How fucking weird is that? Usually it's like, because I had my divorce, I also had my baby mama situation, where are two separate situations. A lot of stuff was arm twisting through her parents trying to like get me to do A, B, and C.
Right.
I couldn't imagine like, what did she had 80 million fucking followers or some shit? A small percentage of that, which is still thousands of people. Hey, Kanye wants to.
Yeah, no,
like,
it's that impulsivity, and it's privacy. It's very interesting to me because he's so upset with Kim for certain things that are happening publicly.
Yeah.
but he's saying them publicly. So I'm like, maybe if you're trying to be like the monarch of the family and you're about to be like, do it my way, right? Perhaps what you should do is set the standard that those conversations happen behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is very messy, but I don't know them. So I try really hard not to judge people on their actions when I don't know them, because you know there's always something that could be going on that we don't know. But it just makes me really sad that North is the one that seems to be punished for that. And I don't think that that's right. I think that you should protect children at all costs, and it doesn't particularly matter whether or not you have issues with that person. And I say that as a person who, like, my daughter's father is a terrible human. Okay, he is a awful human.
Somebody spoke, I wouldn't say highly, but definitely neutral on her first podcast on the Damned. I think things have changed in the 18 months.
Like, well, it's I learned from that situation that it doesn't matter how I feel. It doesn't matter how he feels. It matters about the action, because that's what my daughter is going to see. She's going to see the action, and depending on how old she is, she's not going to ask me why I did it. She's not going to care.
Yeah.
Like, she's going to be like, oh, well, that was messed up. She's not going to ask me how I felt. She's not going to, and probably by the time she asks me, I'm going to be too old to remember how I felt about that tiny situation.
I have been tempted in my situation to write out an explanation on some things, because a third person's just like, yeah, he fucking walked one day. I'm like, oh, you guys didn't see the fucking months of, I call it the emotional meat grinder, just fucking walking into it, hurting myself. Someday I'm going to write that letter.
Well, see, but that's why each situation is so unique, because as long as the child is the priority, your action should really follow that. I think. But when you're angry and you're going through a lot of emotional things, you tend to not act in character all of the time.
Yeah.
To act in character all the time is exhausting, and most people can't do it. And that nobody should be able to tell you whether that's right or wrong. But I do think what they are doing is they're inviting public opinion to their situation. Because he asked, I've never had to deal with this situation before, so what do I do? And now everybody is like, oh, now is that a way to trigger sympathy? Absolutely. That is a way to do it. But again, there's so many different possibilities as to why they did it that I don't think that we have any business saying, oh, well, this is what they did and this is why they did it and this is what you should do with your child. Like, just make the child the priority and have your actions follow that. That's all I can say. I don't.
Your daughter's coming up on that age where social media is coming into the picture, right?
She's 8 right now,
Yeah.
And but
and what's your approach on that?
Well, she wants to do her own social media thing, and what I told her, I've always been honest with her that it's not a real place. But I told her that if she wants to post those things, then she needs to present me with some sort of plan. So I need to know what your content you want it to be. I want to know, like, how often you want to post, because at that point you're making a mini business. Yeah. So I need to at least know that. But I have made mistakes as a parent, so I was not looking at all the YouTube stuff she was watching sometimes, So it's really walking that fine line of giving them freedom, but making them understand that you are just another number in person out here. Yeah. So you still can get all of those adult things that you are not ready for, and it's not just sexual creepy things. If somebody doesn't like the slime that you made, they might call you mean names, and you don't know how to handle that yet because you're 8. Yeah. So the meanest thing somebody has called you is a stupid head, and I am not quite ready to teach you what
the internet has so many more things to say.
You are not even scraping the surface. But she does see me post on social media, and I'm very honest with her. I tell her, I don't like it. I hate it. But because of the things that I've chosen to do, I have to do that. So I do that with boundaries.
I might give you an app that I'm using for the podcast.
Yes.
Because basically what I do is once a week, I just have all the social media and everything made, and just put it on a plan, a schedule.
Yes. So I've been doing that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
But I messed up and I put an open mic that's no longer on there. I forgot that I had it scheduled on my story.
When's the Battle Mountain thing going to Friday nights?
It's once a month now. I think it's
Okay.
gonna be next month on Friday.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta get back out on the scene, but I got stuff to do for the rest of the
We
fucking
miss
year. So,
you.
yeah, business trip coming up there. So, speaking about the internet, NFTs. Such a frustrating fucking topic. Non-fungible transactions. What's the T stand for?
Let's find out right now.
So this week, John Lennon's son NFT'd memorabilia from the fucking Beatles.
It's a non-fungible token.
Okay, explain what that means for stupid people like myself.
It means we make up words, and then we hope you buy our words. No. Okay,
That I knew, but specifically.
No, let's see what the exact definition is. Here we go.
So while he's looking that up, my understanding is it's a digital thing that cannot be broken down, which is where the fungible comes from, fungible, whatever the fuck. So one of the big things right now that's turning NFTs is like JPEG, not JPEGs, the moving fucking ones, GIFs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The way that it's coded is if you were to screenshot it
Mm-hmm.
and send it off to somebody else, you will not receive copyright and all that shit from that.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a way of securing a purchase and not breaking it down and basically copying it a million fucking times.
I see.
But it's all
mhm.
digital.
Mhm.
So with John Lennon's
Mhm.
fucking son is he took a 3D image of one of John Lennon's like jackets. He's putting it on the NFT market for $10,000.
No.
The only thing it is a digital copy. You're
Yeah,
not
no.
holding on to something
No.
tangible.
No.
And that's
so
where
does that
I'm
mean
losing
that
my
does
fucking
that mean
mind.
that like they can't take pictures of it ever again?
Ooh, didn't even think about it. I imagine you can't take this picture, but the that file cannot be.
See, that's the dumbest thing in the world because
Well, and then it says, so they're cryptographic assets on a blockchain, nerd talk, with unique identification codes and metadata that distinguish them from each other. Unlike cryptocurrencies, they cannot be traded or exchanged at equivalency.
so they can't be traded.
So I
at
can't
the-
sell you an NFT if I realize that I just made the dumbest fucking mistake of my life.
I mean, I guess you could. I mean, you could sell anything, but it's
So one of the other explanations I heard for NFT was, so for a $10 bill, I could break that into a 5 and 5 singles. That's the fungible part of it.
Okay.
Somebody was explaining in
breakdown.
the NFT thing that that's another part of it is it can't be broken down
right.
into
You can't. So
smaller
it's just
parts.
that thing.
Yeah.
And
So is it saying that you can't break up that image? Like you have to sell that image wholesale? NFTs piss me the fuck off. Same thing with fucking the digital currency.
crypto.
Yeah. What happens when the fucking Russians wipe out all of our internet and all of our electricity? We're all
You
going to
have-
be admiring shiny things like we did 7,000 fucking years ago. Here's some gold. Give me some food.
You know, this is why I recommend barterable trades because then you don't need cryptocurrency.
Cryptocurrency is the biggest fucking con. Well, I'll put it in top 5 because there's been a lot going on in the last 7 years. But
I think it's such an interesting concept, like, and it's so easy to scam people. Like, I was watching comedy on YouTube, and the dude's voice sounded similar to the ad. So I had gone out of the room and I came back, and I just thought that it was the same person doing a bit, and he said, "Get your digital real estate now.
That's another thing.
You can sell it, and you can sell it and get money just like real estate." And I was like, y'all are awful people.
At
Are you selling Sims houses?
at real world fucking prices. $400,000 for
Who
a
is dumb enough
digital
to be doing
house.
this? Why are you doing this? Why are you like
Oh, we know why they're doing it, because it's the legal way to launder money.
that is true.
True.
But I'm saying
Old
why
Ozark over here.
why are you why would you be dumb enough to do that? Like, smart people know what we're doing. Why would you be like, you know what? I'm gonna click on this YouTube link and I'm just gonna go ahead
It's
and
like,
buy this
Can
digital
you
house.
put a podcast studio in the basement of a $400,000 digital fucking house?
You could put a digital podcast.
In the metaverse,
We're
you can.
in a $400,000 house.
That's what you get. Your passion got you fucked up.
You could put something in it. You could fucking do. Oh my god.
Do you have any idea how much flack I'm already gonna get from hanging out with two white dudes in a basement? Now you're shaking TVs and shit. Oh my! And it's Black History Month.
It's just so fucking frustrating. I cannot believe how people are. We're getting closer and closer to the idiocracy.
I like that you use the term "getting."
Yeah, we're there. We just got to flesh out the more of the concepts.
with
there.
the
I didn't
flashlight.
hit you
Let's
with
do
that,
this.
did I, Leslie?
No, but you came close. That's why I looked at you
Yeah.
like, sir.
Well, I know
And
my
then-
level came off, so
I was like,
TV all
what?
crooked. I gotta say, it looks pretty good for being shook. Also,
It looks you did a great job. It's level and everything.
I think I'm going to change the name of the podcast to "Footsteps into the Idiocracy" or something like that. We're gonna have to brainstorm.
Maybe
that.
that's a rager podcast for something separate that you need to put on.
Because there's not
Rumble.
enough pissed off white dudes on
I'm,
YouTube.
you know,
It doesn't count if you're not sitting in your truck.
Oh yeah. Where's my sunglasses?
hmm,
You know what's wrong with America?
don't have enough tattoos. You got red hair though, so you got something going for you.
Yeah,
I just-
you're the
I-
minority of the planet.
It is true.
I know.
We're all gonna be gone in
There
500
there are
years.
less of you than there are of dwarves.
It's true.
I want to talk about
Redheaded
something
dwarves.
completely unrelated.
Thank God, because digital currency is.
So I saw that there is a new version of Cyrano de Bergerac, and that is one of my favorite stories. And this man is a dwarf. He doesn't even have a big nose, and I'm very upset about this because I
What
don't
the
know if you
fuck
know
are we
this,
talking about?
but so Cyrano de Bergerac is the story about this dude who's like in love with the prettiest girl in town, right? But he's stupid. And he can't talk. So the greatest poet and swordsman and warrior of the town has this awful big nose, right? And he's like, and the dude who wants the girl, right, is like, I'm stupid. And Cyrano's like, I got you, bro. So he's writing because the girl is Cyrano's cousin, writing her letters like, I love you secretly. Back in the day, it was okay for cousins to love each other and shit. So he's like, I love you. But she thinks it's this dude, right? She thinks it's this dude because he could never profess his love because he got a big ass nose, right?
Stephen Martin made a movie about that.
He totally did. It's called Roxanne, if you haven't seen it. Anyway, so what ends up happening is, of course, they can't be together because Cyrano dies. And then she's like, oh, my one true love was right here the whole time. And it's stupid, right? Well, they have a new one with that one girl from what's that? The girl on the train. She that blonde girl. And then what is his? He was in Game of Thrones.
Peter Dinklage.
Yes,
Okay.
him. Okay.
I'm mad at him right now.
Me too, because he did this movie. So,
We'll get back to why
I
you
saw
are.
the trailer, right? And he is a good-looking man. Why are we rewriting this story, making him he's just small? Could they not have made him small and ugly? What is going on? I'm very upset. We keep remaking these movies and changing like the biggest detail about them.
What's the title of the original?
Cyrano de Bergerac.
I've never even heard of this show.
Yes, it's fantastic. You should
I
totally
am a
totally
uncultured
research.
swine.
I'm gonna call your
Obviously,
high
you should
school.
read more. But that's one of my favorite movies. It's in black and white, so good. But because he elaborately roasts everybody. He's like, "You're a piece of shit," but he says it with like 500 words all eloquently. You know, it's great. Like the first scene. There's this guy's doing a performance on stage in theater, right? And he's awful.
Okay.
So Cyrano just is like, you suck. And here's all the reasons why. Fight me. And he's like, I will. And he's like, oh, really? Huh, I'm the best swordsman in town. My big ass nose and my sword will stab you. I don't care. And I was like, so I'm a little upset that they were like, you know what, Peter, you're short. You would be great. You would be great.
When's this coming out?
I don't know, and I don't care. I am not going. I am upset.
Oh, we're going to find out because I want you to be mad on a particular day.
Oh, yeah. I will do a live on that day and be like, this movie.
And why are you upset at Peter Dinklage?
Because of his fake outrage at Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
What was that about? I saw the headline. I was like, nope.
That was about him being an adult-sized baby. That's what that's about. He was just mad because they are, of course, out of ideas, and they're remaking it. And, of course, they recast Snow White because reasons. And then he was like, well, you're being progressive by recasting Snow White as a person of color, but you're still keeping the dwarves as dwarves, and that's not progressive. And I was like, that's literally in the title. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, like, you just put a bunch of people out of work when that was the thing you were cast for in every movie you've ever done, bro. And so, no, I'm sorry. And it's not disparaging to be a dwarf, because at the time they were mythological creatures that were minors. They weren't midgets, Peter. Get it together, bro.
Well,
it wasn't Snow White and the Seven Little People. It was.
I feel like we're making the same point, which is, what's wrong with being a little person? What is wrong with being? You can still catch all of the ladies just fine, but if his nose was big, he wouldn't. Because, the setting is, before plastic surgery where you could fix that shit,
Basically,
he was a good-looking man.
Both the legs, if I remember.
Yes, they have accordion legs in the one with what Julia Roberts. That one's awful, but my daughter likes that one. And like they're instead of them being minors, not that kind of minor, like actual minor, they are thieves, and they have accordion legs.
What?
And that's how they steal all of the things. So I would have been more upset about the fact that they made them thieves.
Thank you.
Perhaps they don't have to steal shit.
Yeah, Peter. Maybe they're just little.
And they had such good hearts. They let that woman live there for free. She was like, I'll cook for you. And they were like, yeah, you can stay here.
Right.
What? Okay.
Deep diving on fucking Snow White.
Pardon me. But yeah, I'm very upset
now
about
it's Snow
that.
Person of Color. So.
That is true.
With her skin as white as not.
All I'm saying about that, okay. I suffered my entire life going through information and stories and being like, oh, there would be absolutely no period of time in the world that I could do any of these things. I'm 3 shades too light, and I'm the wrong race and ethnicity. Shit would suck for me. I would never be able to be Cinderella. You want to know why? Because I wouldn't be invited to the ball. You want to know why I wouldn't be Snow White? Because I would be cleaning with her already, because that would have been my, not job, because I wouldn't be paid. Okay?
Thanks, Britain. Remember that, Queen Camilla.
Yeah, it's your fault. Not only did you take my dreams, you took Diana's too.
Do you think she had her whacked?
No, I think that
I think the wall did.
I would say
She
that
whacked
that
it at
part.
like 100.
But I do think though that like the whole situation, the way that like you can't control who you love. That's totally fine, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that because of who she was, who Camilla was, that like put fuel to the fire.
Okay.
And that's why people were so like even more so interested in Diana after that.
Yeah.
Had the situation not been dealt, I'm not saying she wouldn't have died because of the paparazzi, because they were always after her,
Yeah,
and
they
they
were
were always
savage.
like aggressively and they think it's bad here. Like they are like the United Kingdom is
and
notorious
English,
for that. Like
they're terrible.
they read tabloids before they read the newspaper. But I think that had she not been a whore, sorry, excuse me. I feel passionately about that.
So that was a follow-up question, and then the other follow-up question I have is with Kanye, if the kid gets kidnapped because of social media, do you think a Taken starring Kanye would have been a good movie? That speech was so fucking badass. I will find
his
you.
particular set of skills.
Yeah.
that he has accumulated over time are not the same as our Lord and Savior Liam Neeson. I am not saying that they are not equivalently great or they are not great in other arenas, but you can't wrap a child home. That is all I'm saying.
I think old Liam's in another one of these fucking movies too.
I hope so. Have you seen
Another pissed off
Daddy's
white
Home
guy.
too? And so it's a Christmas movie, and they get snowed in, and they have to go to a movie theater. So and it's a Liam Neeson movie, and Liam Neeson voiceovers this. And
He does have an
it's like the
amazing voice.
same concept, but it's a made up movie. It's like it's all death and carnage, and you can hear Liam Neeson being like, "And I'll kill you!" You can hear the blood, and then at the end he's like, "Yeah, let's go home. We're gonna be a family." And he like voices over this fake movie, but it is taken in all of the movies he's been in. They just did it in like 45 seconds. So like,
I
that's like
swear,
they're watching it. It's so funny.
Another, if you could probably look that up, Liam Neeson. It's coming out this year. It's another like, oh, I'm a downtrodden white guy with a missing family member. Time to fucking go whack.
I have all of these killing people skills
kill
that I
Halfa.
never use, and nobody understands why I have psychopathic tendencies and why I'm not at all regulated in society. Why? Because you can kill somebody and not blink. Normal people can't do that.
Yeah, blacklight.
Blacklight, yeah.
Oh boy.
If you, we're not gonna watch the trailer because it's copyright. But
Right.
holy shit, you watch that trailer, you're just like, yep.
Well, anything named after what you use before an episode of some sex offender program is probably not going to be a good movie.
You know.
I mean, it'd probably
I-
actually be a great
oh.
movie. I'll take it back.
I would love to see Liam Neeson play To Catch a Predator's. Was that Chris Hansen?
Hansen.
Dude, the shakedown that Liam Neeson would have on a fucking child molester.
Okay.
Hilarious.
And second of
Why
all,
don't you take a seat?
Can you imagine the trauma he would bring to the table? Because Chris Hansen was kidnapped, so he has emotional investment
Was
in that.
Hansen kidnapped?
Yes, and he was returned.
Like on the show?
No, when he was a child, he was kidnapped. You can't be a grown-napped.
Oh.
What?
Yeah, you can. Usually end up, black bagged and then beheaded by the end of the situation.
This
but-
is true. You find torsos and shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was
or whatever the hell the
kidnapped.
cartel's doing this week to scare the shit out of their opponents. Like,
What do they do now? Do they like turn your fingers into powder or something?
oh, that's a good day for the cartel. Shit.
Mm.
What was it? They just they stacked a bunch of bodies out the mayor's house.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
Theatrical.
I like it. Or like what they did in that movie Red Riding Hood was Amanda Seyfried in it, and
Gotcha.
when they take out her dad who is the werewolf, right, and they just fill him with rocks and they put him at the bottom.
Nice.
They're just like,
You remember the show
This is
Gangland
normal.
on History Channel?
I remember it. Do not want to watch it again.
The Zetas were known for putting people into 55-gallon drums and setting that shit on fire.
See, I
That's a good day.
have nightmares, so I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah,
And
you
then
learn
they're
some
like,
savage stuff about the human culture.
See now.
Hitting people in the head with padlocks and shit.
See?
As a motorcycle. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
You don't see that at open mics, do you? Your set sucked, crack.
No, you just simply see people cry.
I
whenever they
wish more
bomb.
would cry, though. I'm going to be honest with you. If we had more crying, more entertaining.
I will be honest. I was this close to crying on most nights coming home from fucking Battle Mountain. George, I fucking love you. That was a hard mic.
No, they both were like, yeah, no, I'm really happy we're not doing it anymore.
Really,
Cause
both of
sometimes,
them?
well, because sometimes they would be doing it would just be them. And there'd be like two people. They'd be like, well, we're going to have a open mic, but a show with
To
drink
the
more.
owner.
Drink more, so then you'll like it.
I'm not drinking my own product. Speaking of crime, people, though, Frontier and Spirit are merging.
That's the strangest love child ever.
Like, is that two negatives making a positive, or like,
I mean, I don't know if that'll be positive.
have either one of you guys been on either one of those airlines?
I have been on both of them.
I would say, yeah.
Terrible.
And both times I
Well-
thought I was going to die.
I-
But I'm too tall.
Before
That's okay.
takeoff.
the last
Yeah.
flight I was on was a Frontier flight, and it was fine.
Because
But
you're not 6'2".
I was gonna say, I also
My man makes a point over there.
if, like I'm very accepting of death, so I'm like, oh, Like, if this happens, it must be my time. So
That's like
just very
Sam
calm.
White Knuckles take off and landing. She's like, "You're not freaked out?" I'm like, "Look, if this goes bad, it's not my problem in about 3 seconds flat.
Right,
It's someone else's fucking problem."
Tell my mom I loved her. But that's all. That's all.
Yeah.
Nobody else is gonna
Because
care.
like on that trip, it was me, the wife, and the kid. Like everyone that matters in my
yeah,
life.
cool. We're all together.
Right in a row
this
here.
is the great
let's,
way.
Let's hit something hard because I don't want to be recovering in a fucking hospital for the next decade. I want to be in the
Little morbid,
Shriners.
but
I want to be in the Shriners commercial begging for fucking money. I was
Well,
in a plane
so
crash. Send
we
me
need
money.
to go back to when Frontier had the animals speaking for them,
I don't
because that
remember
was when they were okay.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Wasn't that Frontier? And they had
That's that duck commercial. I don't know what you're talking about.
no, they
Right,
like
there
they had the dolphin, and they had the bobcat was my favorite because the bobcat was so sassy and just shut everything
I know
down.
some of those planes had those animals on the side of them.
Yeah, but I thought it was Frontier.
It was
maybe
a
I'm
tie-in
wrong.
commercial, or you just high an airport terminal going.
No, they were.
This would be a cool commercial.
No, they were commercials like well, I say when I was young, but I'm still not old. So, but yeah,
Youngish,
I'm youngish. I'm pushing 30. You know,
halfway through 30, 30s. So. What are we looking up?
Oh, I was looking up the but of course I searched Frontier Airline Animal, and it's probably going to be a bunch of people.
I was gonna say that probably
Literally
will
everything
be
leads to
when the lady was breastfeeding the fake cat.
Oh,
Was that on a
that's-
Frontier
Yo,
or Spirit?
What? Actually, I might have heard of that. Yeah, that's probably should be in the news from the last 10
Oh
years.
yeah, that was
What, breastfeeding cat?
Oh,
for
that was
airline?
that was recent, and then like the
Airline
whatever
breastfeeding cat.
whatever stuffed animal she had, right, had googly eyes when she turned it around. That was so funny.
Woman breastfeeds cat on a Delta flight.
Okay, so it was
kitty
Delta.
titty shut down.
Yes, and then it wasn't even a real cat; it was fake, and she had googly eyes on it, and she refused to stop. It was so funny.
What the fuck?
I see, yeah.
I love how upset people get about stuff like that because really, did that affect your day? It was weird. It was weird.
What I
But-
love about that is you really get exposed to just how weird the fucking well is, or how
Yes.
deep the well goes.
Yes, but
Because that's what she does publicly. What does she do privately?
how
I
did she
don't
get
wanna
the
smell that
googly
cat.
eyes to stick on the fur of that cat and stay while she was breastfeeding
Actually, yeah,
the
is she
cat?
fucking expressing that into the
She had
the
a blanket.
fur of that? Well, no, I'm saying that
Oh.
fur. Like, how often is she washing that fucking?
I have no idea. I don't even know if she was lactating. I didn't ask her questions. I just thought it was funny. But see, that's how I handle things. Is you can be doing odd things, and I'll see you. Like I will see you. But until you show any sort of act of aggression or anything, I am not going to bother you so long as you are not bothering me or other people.
That's the thing, though.
But
with
what
the
are you
COVID,
doing?
You see a lot of acts of aggression now with the COVID.
Yes.
And what I love is they're moving now to if you have physically like threatened or assaulted somebody on a plane since like the start of COVID, they're putting you on the no-fly list.
Duh.
It's already illegal to beat up people on a plane.
Yeah, I
so.
was gonna say.
Oddly enough.
Well, but I do.
Well,
think
I don't think you put you on the no-fly list though.
No.
So
No,
what,
well,
they
and-
put you on the airline's no-fly list,
Yeah.
but not the
yeah,
federal
and then you can
registry.
go to the other ones, but now you
They're
can't
asking
fly
the TSA
anybody.
to fucking do that.
Blech. The same people that make me take off my underwear when I walk through a metal detector to look
I
at my
don't
junk.
think that was a.
That's what I do. That's how I handle
What you
it.
do in the public park is your own business.
Right.
You and George Michaels.
Don't come down on George Michael.
That was a very aged reference. That's probably at least 25 years old, isn't it? Mid-90s.
I know who George Michael is. I had
Well,
old
no,
siblings.
him getting busted for homosexual acts.
Yes.
Yeah, that was, I want to say mid-90s.
And I love that
I do
everybody
know about that.
pretended to be surprised.
Like, have you seen?
Have you ever seen the very first song? They ever said, Wake me up before you go.
Or him shaking his ass on, what did Limp Bizkit
Faith,
cover?
bro?
Faith, yeah.
Yeah.
Faith,
Yeah.
faith.
If anything, that's going to make your faith die.
Truth.
I think that's a little aggressive.
Well, you didn't
Your
see his
faith
ass.
died. Your faith died.
Well, it doesn't take much to kill an atheist's faith, so. We'll turn this
That
into the
was
atheist
funny.
podcast. I don't know.
That was funny.
Oi, oi, oi. What else is going on? We got about 5 more minutes. You want to plug dates again, or
it is Black History Month. It's February, bitches. Okay.
See, for me, that's just Mardi Gras.
See, because you suck. But anyway,
Said the Southerner.
I am noticing something about this particular Black History Month. And in the previous years, like, there had been a lot of people who wanted to like talk about a prominent Black person, or like this was the month that you dedicate like your reading or your education to learn about Black people that you had never heard of before and stuff like that, which was awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand because I feel like for the other 11 months of the year, I'm still Black.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting that certain groups of people, and they're not Black people, they can be white people, they can be Mexicans, they can be whatever, you know, all different races, but they are starting to be nicer to me this month than they ever were before. And I don't understand that, because it's not Be Nice to a Black Person month. It is Black History Month. Like, and whether or not you feel like Black History Month is stupid because, you know, like you should be Black at the time, or because it used to be Negro History Week, or I can say that, or because it's supposed to be in January.
She did the hard O.
Because that's what it used to be called, and I'm allowed to use it in or out of context. I just don't use it out of context, okay? And I don't be just walking up to people like, "Hi," no, it's rude. That's why. But
before we get too far down the line here, so as a mixed Black person, there is a measurable, noticeable change in how people interact with you.
Yeah, all of a sudden I'm powerful
Really?
this month, and I wasn't last month. It's very weird.
I don't want to belittle the month, but like when I change the calendar, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Black History Month. And then I move on with my day, because I feel like if I were to try to change my attitude, I feel like pandering, and then it feels like that person would see that, and then like it would be counteractive to the purpose of Black History. I'm like,
well, and we have like Asian Heritage Month, and we have Latin Heritage Month, and we have lots of other ones, and I think that's fine, especially because just there's more promotion of the history and things like that, and that's cool. I just find it fascinating that certain people are still so uncomfortable with race that they're like, "Oh, this is the month to tell you you're great," and I was like, "I was last month, and I will be next month. Why are you telling me this now?"
So that feels like pandering, right?
Yes, like, and it also kind of feels like you're almost diminishing the purpose for it.
Yeah.
But then like people who are super woke, when we're celebrating people of color, they're like, "Oh, well, you're segregating people," and it's like, well, how are you doing it? Because that's when it gets into a deeper conversation. Like, because what I think people forget is that like racism is the prejudgment that a certain person is going to act a way that you've seen other races do things, or that particular race, because they are that race. Okay. Now, whether or not you're an asshole about it, or whether or not you are sweet about it, now you're adding different things. Whether or not you are a supremacist about it, or you're now adding different behaviors to the racism, right?
Yeah.
But segregation is dividing people specifically because of their race, right? And when you separate people specifically because their race, when you add other things to it, again, you can have the best intentions that you want about it, right? But if you're making those decisions and that's a qualifying factor, right, that doesn't mean you're segregating. That doesn't mean that you're singling people out. But it's so interesting to see people's misunderstandings about this, and they're so quick to talk first. And I don't understand why this month is the month that we're going to do that. Haven't we been through enough?
Yeah, 'cause I want to say what you're saying is happening on college campuses
which 100% makes sense, because that's a lot of the time when that Enlightenment period comes up, right? Because you were expanding your brain
Fox
and the
News
knowledge.
immediately jumps on that. It's like, oh, reverse racism.
Stop saying reverse racism,
Yeah, it's just
because
racism.
reverse racism isn't a thing. You're racist or you're not, okay?
I mean, reverse racism is basically the racist that's backing up his truck.
Yes.
That's
Beep,
what that is.
beep,
Or her
beep.
truck, sorry. If they
Their
can
truck,
afford vehicles,
Jonathan.
whatever.
God damn, be woke, bro.
I woke up this morning.
I would love to go through a Fox News just page and just see, because like you're right, they insist on being the first person to talk, and yeah, they're always like, oh, reverse racism, like.
Well, and most of the racism that I've ever interacted with, like when I would go back to see my family, like yes, people walked on the other side of the street. People did not like us simply because we were who we were, and that was totally fine. They didn't, whatever. Like, as long as you don't bother me, stay over there. Okay,
Yeah.
I know you don't like me. But most of the racism I ever interacted with was a very, very sweet person who said something wildly inappropriate. And I'm like, hey, you shouldn't say anything like that.
Usually
And
about
then
your hair, right?
About my hair, or about, or about like
Oh, there's
how,
my
how I
doorway.
speak, or like, oh, I didn't know that you could be this smart, or something stupidly ignorant that was crazy. And I would be like, hey, not the way to go. Super not okay.
I'm betting hair. You talk super white.
I get that
I'm
a lot.
trying to think what the third one would be. Is this because I've seen it so many
I'm
times?
smart. I can't believe you. Could
Oh yeah,
be
you
smart.
speak rather educated
Or
for a
they're
black
like, I don't
person
know
is
how-
essentially
yeah,
the message.
How do you get the jobs that you do? Or I would get like, well, I'm surprised
What
you're
do you
not,
mean
you're not
backhanded
ghetto. I get that a lot. Or they're like, oh, you're from there? I didn't even know there were brown people there. Like, and I get so frustrated because I do intimately know the Black history of Colorado. If that's what you want to go look it up because it is rich and beautiful and diverse.
Yeah.
But what I do know is a lot of those people, 9 times out of 10, I would be able to be like, hey, definitely not something you say in public because that's super racist. And they'd be like, I am so sorry. I didn't even know. I know that's the point.
So
That's
you got a pen and paper?
yeah.
Write this down.
Like,
Never bring that shit
Don't
up.
ever say that to another brown person ever again, right? Or they would confuse what kind of brown I was. And so they would like...
Oh,
it,
I
like,
bet you
it
get the
was like-
whole
It
gambit.
was just like, what? But,
How recently have you been called Indian?
like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, or like, so the one woman, she's like, I just know you're Dominican, and I was like, no, but thank you. Or
You should have said South Pacific, or you just really
Like,
fucking
yes,
throw
I'm
their
sure.
world off.
well, or people a lot of the time
I'm
assume
Irish.
that I'm white or I'm half white, so they'll be like, oh, well, you understand because you're half white, and I'm like, why would I understand what you just said? Whatever. But if you correct it, a lot of the time they'll tell 3 or 4 or 5 of their friends about how embarrassed they were that they said that, right? And then that's kind of how you correct and you teach people. But just because they think they choose to be a supremacist, or they choose to be classist, or they assume that like because of certain cultures, certain black communities act certain ways in different parts of the country, because I'm not acting that way, that's, oh, well, you're one of the good ones, or whatever. I get that all of the time.
Holy shit!
Like,
in 2022.
yes, I have gotten that more than once.
Is it under like with hushed tones? You're one of the good ones.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, yeah. But it's also very offensive to just book me because I'm black. Like, don't do that either.
Oh, the fucking
Like-
affirmative action, fucking.
Yeah, like that. It doesn't make sense. Now, like if you're telling me I want to have more diversity because I'm tired of hearing the same story over and over.
Wait, you
and
don't want to
over.
hear about white guys talking about their dick?
Sorry, most
10
people
comics
don't.
in a row.
Three comics in the row telling I have literally seen, and these were not white men. 3 comics talk about seeing their dad's dick in a row. They were not all the same color. They were not all the same ethnicity. They were all different, but it was the same thing.
It's that
So
male.
it's like when people are like, oh well, I would like to have more women on stage, or I would like, and you're funny. I like that.
Fucking periods again. Oh,
Like,
God.
but when you say, oh, I just want you on the show because you're black, that's just as insulting.
Yeah.
So like, but people, they're not willing to have these conversations because we might have to get along. You know, you might have to disagree with me. You might have to like see that you might be wrong too. Like that's a possibility, but it seems to be like so compact this month where I'm seeing those things and I'm noticing that some people can have this conversation and some people just can't. Like I'm sure some people aren't going to listen to this entire conversation. They'll be like, Leslie said, and quite honestly, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. But takeaway from this is like be
bottom liner.
like just be open all the time. Like there's going to be different months where they celebrate different ethnicities and different cultures, and absolutely get to know the information and get to know the prominent people and the change that happened. But there's not just 5 people that changed the black community. There were lots of different black people that are from here that changed the world, and that were from Kansas that changed the world. But just because it's primarily white people doesn't mean that we weren't here. Y'all just don't know how to talk to us. I think that's so weird because like in February, like, oh, you're just so powerful and strong. I'm like, yeah.
Yankees.
Fucking weirdos.
In closing, where's White History Month? No.
Every single day. All of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
All of the time. But you want to know why?
Like, gee, I'm sorry you had the first 250 years of fucking American history.
But all I'm saying is the reason why, like, White History Month isn't a thing, right? Is we're a Western country still.
Yeah.
Okay? We are influenced because we were made by white people, okay? Colonized everything. And so you
why do I
like,
feel Joe Bear has something just
like
loaded up right in the chamber?
That's been the thing that we've had the entire time. But at the same time, there's lots of different kinds of white.
Yeah.
There's lots of different cultures. There's lots of different ethnicities. So, but to think that when a country is made by European countries and you're not going to get primarily white history from that you're just
that's
not
like
looking
going to
up
Japan
things.
and being like, hey, why is there so much Japanese history?
Why
here?
aren't
This
there
is
any black
ridiculous."
history here? I don't like you guys aren't inclusive because there's no Mexican culture here.
Right.
Like, of
Yeah.
course it's not.
It's
Like,
mind-numbing, though, when I hear people say it.
Well, I
Is
think
the counteroffer like, why isn't there a White History Month?
because
Like,
there's no such thing as white people. That's the thing that drives
Yeah.
me crazy is that that's my issue with the super woke and their attempt to be kind is they ruin their own thing because white was and still kind of is a socially constructed thing because white people hate white people too because we're ethnic. It's
I think
the
I
ethnicity.
hate white people more than anybody
And
else.
so they have the reason why is because you have Irish history, you have Italian history, you have Cajun history. You have all these histories that are based on the ethnicity, not the racial collective, because they were not collectivized in the same way that the African American population was collectivized.
Yeah.
And so the ethnicity that was wiped out, in my personal opinion, the ethnicity that was wiped out in the foundation of this country made it necessary for that community to collectivize, to be recognized in a way that other ethnicities didn't have to collectivize as white. They had their own unique oppression and problems that were also terrible, but it stayed within their own immigrant community. The Irish stuck with the Irish, the Italians stuck with the Italians. Everybody should hate the British, like I do, because it's all their fault.
Kamala.
Thank you, Camilla.
So
Did
in
you hear how I
close,
said that kind of? But yeah. And plus, when we talk about white people, we are not talking about all white people. We are talking about a very specific,
Yeah, I heard that one.
specific kind of white person.
That's why you only get a short
Like,
month.
Oh yeah, because we can't talk right.
Because you say X.
My goodness. But just do better. That's all I'm saying is do better.
wasn't that
Don't walk up to me and be like, "I'm so glad you're here."
Be best. That's the best.
I'm just saying. If I can look at you and appreciate you, even though you have completely destroyed both of my bloodlines in 2 different ways, I feel like perhaps you can just appreciate the conversation and quit bitching at me. That's all I'm saying.
All right, let's slap that graphic on one last time for El Blexicon there, and let's get those dates one more time from old Leslie Fox here.
February 11th, we're going to be at Blush and Blue. Okay, it's the Soul Queens of Comedy. Okay, we've got a fire lineup, and then February 18th, Ladies Comedy Night. Excuse me, at Vultures. And then February 25th, I'm gonna be dressed as a drag king.
Nice.
That's also at Blush and Blue. And then the March 5th, I'll be at Fritzy's in Colorado Springs. I still don't know what the name of that show is, but you know what? We're going to find out when you get there.
Exactly. You also have your Facebook page, which is not El Blexkin. That is.
If I wouldn't do that because I might not accept your friend request. So go like and follow El Blexican on Facebook. And El Blexican on Instagram. If you want to bore yourself to death.
Facebook page that was like Foxhole at one point.
Yeah, I changed the name like 14 times, and that's why I was just like.
It was like Foxhole. That's a brave one.
That's why I chose it.
What's the current name on that one? Because I thought.
It's still El Blexican.
Okay. Okay, so you switched it back to
Yep,
that one.
all
okay,
of it
cool.
is El Blexican.
I like that.
You got to stay consistent with all your fucking handles. So, speaking of handles, all of mine are now on the screen, probably. There we go. It was great seeing everybody. We'll see you next Wednesday morning is basically when these are dropping here.
Hey.
So, and then we'll have to figure out. I'm going on a business trip in fucking the end of March, so we'll have to figure out. The damn podcast is going to go through this business trip for 6 months. So, yes, we're going to have fucking Skypes and shit. So, anyway, love you guys. Bye. I don't know.
Heart your face. Bye.
Anticlimactic ending.
I hate wrapping this shit up.